What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to the TV Toycast YouTube channel. And today we are unboxing from Kenner and the Total Justice line. It is, of course, the Green Lantern. I've dove into a couple of Total Justice already, if you're keeping score at home. In fact, we can kind of do a little checklist here on the box. Batman and Aquaman have all been unboxed, all from Series 1. So my plan is, this isn't like the longest line or anything. It's a 3 waves, but they're relatively small waves, especially wave 2 and 3. I'm hoping to unbox all of these on the channel at some point, so we'll keep score at home, see what happens. Of course, this is Green Lantern. A little bit of a different Green Lantern, definitely a 90s Green Lantern that a lot of us probably aren't as used to as the traditional, but again, this is the 90s Total Justice. We're kind of doing some revamps with DC, which I think is great. As you can see here, pretty amazing wave 1. As I've already said, Batman and Aquaman have been unboxed. The Flash I do have, and Robin I do have, and of course we're unboxing Green Lantern here today. Still have not picked up Darkseid. I've heard he's relatively inexpensive online. I remember looking it up one, I think it was like $21, $22. I was like, oh, it's doable. A little bit more expensive than retail was back in probably, 1995, 1996, but still not horrible, as it were. These are, of course, from Kenner, but a part of Hasbro, which is interesting because, Hasbro having DC back in the day was not something that a lot of us probably really put together. But again, Hasbro buys out Kenner but keeps the brand alive. It was kind of a weird catch-22, as it were. But still really cool. When Kyle Rayner was given a mysterious green ring by the Guardian of the Universe, little did he realize the enormous power that had been entrusted to him. He became Green Lantern with his fractal tech gear in place. Green Lantern's strength and ability to create crime-fighting tools increased tenfold. There you go. Obviously, some really interesting armor with these guys, but as you can tell, and you've probably seen from the other videos, you can remove the armor and kind of get more of a traditional look of the character here. These don't stand up great by themselves. I'm going to try to hold it maybe like that. Hopefully that doesn't look too bad on camera. I think that works. But these are really cool. I love the artwork. I love the look. The Total Justice name is awesome. Being a kid, obviously, Super Friends was way in the past at this point. We hadn't really seen team-ups like this, and a lot of these characters kind of went out on their own. So when, I'm in a kid, I'm in Walmart, and I'm seeing these characters all on a card, I'm like, what? Like, I need these. That's freaking awesome. And never ended up buying any of them. It was always one of those things where I think as a kid, it was just, there was always stuff I wanted more, and I think that's the case a lot of times when you're collecting as a kid. We can't collect it all. Even as adults now, with a little bit more disposable income, it's way harder to do. Obviously, prices have gone up. There's no sign of them going down at any point, so it is what it is. But just one of those things. We are going to open this bad boy up. The card is actually not in bad shape, considering this thing came out in 1996, 30 years ago, so pretty wild, very cool. Card off to the side there as I hit my light. And got some tape in here. Tape's a little bit, everything falls out of the bubble, that's alright. Tape's a little bit better than twist ties. This plastic's just falling apart. Tell it's definitely old. Sometimes the problem with these vintage style figures, I have noticed personally, is that they, sometimes they don't hold up as well considering they're 30 years old. I know that happened with the Spawn figure recently I talked about, where it basically just started falling apart in my hands, and I'm like, oh no, what am I going to do? Kyle Rayner here. No Hal Jordan. Looks like his outfit's a little bit more of a dark blue, where I kind of looked at it as black and green. This one looks like it's a little bit more dark blue. Doesn't look bad though. Not the most articulated figures, but this is also the 90s, so pretty close to what we remember. I do know that these figures, the way they're shaped sometimes, standing up is a little bit of an issue. Hopefully he stands up decently. With that wide stance, though, it's really hard to get them to be exact. So I'm not really a fan of that. I'm hoping it's almost like you have to find that exact right spot, and it's not looking good. Not looking good at all. Well, there you go. Got to find that exact right spot to make it happen. Let's put the armor on him. So a chest piece looks like this snaps right on. Pretty self-explanatory, I hope, maybe, as I break it. So that works. So this thing pops right into the to the shoulder piece right here, I think. Maybe. Or let's throw it on the ground. How about that? Trial and error, ladies and gentlemen. Trial and error. There we go. Oh, so this thing actually can go back and forth. That's interesting. So you can kind of move it back and forth there. We got some sort of wild tech gun. I assume this clips onto the arm. Makes sense right there. We got some pieces that go onto the shins. I don't know if they go this way or the other way. It's got to be the other way, just based on this one might go. They might be specific to each leg. I don't know. Should I have kept the packaging? Probably. Ugh. Maybe it goes on this other one. Yeah. See, that's the thing, is these legs are so different. Man, this is not wanting to clip on at all. Not the greatest stuff. Let's take this offline, see if we can get this together and go from there. All right, we got it back on here. As you can see, these actually go on the thigh, so I was a little bit wrong on there. You got this disc launching mechanism. I do know if you push this lever in, this thing will launch. How do I know that? I launched it across the room accidentally as I was offline there. But really cool looking figure. It doesn't stand up the greatest, but all in all, I have no real complaints on this. I think it looks really cool. I'm going to try to stand it up again. It's just not meant to be. And I think sometimes that can be an issue with, a figure that's 30 years old. Like, maybe their intention wasn't for it to stand up, so they don't worry about if it does or not. But you can kind of lean this way, and I think that's all right. It's not perfect, but it is what it is. All in all, I think the Total Justice line is a lot of fun. It's not probably not the best line out there, but it is fun, and I think that's important. That's always been my goal with collecting these, is I want stuff that's unique, stuff that's different, and stuff that's fun. And getting these Total Justice figures has been a lot of cool. It's been a lot of fun, actually. It's been a really cool experience, as I was trying to say there. But Green Lantern had never been a favorite figure of mine, but again, this is kind of cool. I would actually like to see McFarlane kind of dive into this. We've seen the new Justice League Task Force, which was around the same time. It was a Sega Genesis Super Nintendo video game series. Well, actually just one game, I believe. And they did a wave of multiverse figures kind of in that scale with kind of digitized graphics, which I thought was pretty cool. But I'd like to see something like this with the weapons and everything. I think they could really do well with it. Of course, we do know McFarlane is losing the DC license in like fall of 2026, so about 1 year from now. Now, I assume McFarlane will be putting out a lot of product in that time. But it would be interesting to see if what would happen if Mattel does something similar to this. It's kind of, I think a lot of us are kind of curious what Mattel's going to do. They did the DC Multiverse line, of course, up to about 2020, I believe. 2018, 2019 is kind of when it stopped, and then McFarlane, of course, took over. But a lot of people think, Mattel might kind of do a Masterverse style, which I think would be pretty fun. But I would also like to see some retro style like this. I think that'd be cool, too. So time will tell on that. And then I kind of wonder if McFarlane may retain certain rights. Will they be able to still do Super Friends? Will they be able to still do, Batman the Animated Series, different things? Because we never know how those contracts work. So it'll definitely be interesting, to say the least. So time will definitely tell on that. But this Green Lantern figure is fun. It's not the best by any stretch. It does bother me that he doesn't stand up great, but, it is what it is. I do know trying to record some of the images and stuff that I need to do might be a challenge, but I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But all in all, definitely not a bad piece of business, as it were. But let me know in the comments down below if you're into vintage figures, if you collected Total Justice, or if you plan to collect Total Justice. Last I checked on eBay, these weren't incredibly expensive, so you could pick these up for a decent price if you were so inclined. So not the worst thing in the world, but definitely fun stuff. And as always, check out my other unboxing videos. I do 3 unboxing videos every single week. This past week on Monday, I dove into Robert Gibson from the Rock and Roll Express as part of the major Big Rubber Guys line. Very, very cool. The week before was Ricky Morton, so it was kind of cool to get his tag team partner, Robert Gibson, unboxed. Perfect addition to the Big Rubber Guys line, if you ask me. That was on Monday. On Wednesday, I dove into the Turtles of Grayskull with Raphael, which is always fun, kind of as part of that He-Man Masters of the Universe origin style figure from the short-lived Turtles of Grayskull line. Really, really cool there. That was on Wednesday. I unboxed that. And then, of course, on Friday, I unboxed from Playmates Toys in the new Power Rangers Reignition line, the Red Ranger. Always cool to dive into the Power Rangers. Obviously, one of my all-time favorite shows and series as a young kid. Huge fan of the Power Rangers. So even though these figures aren't probably considered the greatest, it is cool to get new Power Ranger stuff in 2025. So definitely fun. But check all those out. Of course, check out What's on the Pegs. I drop a new toy hunt style video every Saturday. And then, of course, check out Tales of the Toy Box. It's a show kind of diving into classic toy lines. And episode 5, all about He-Man Masters of the Universe Series 1, is available now. So check those out as well. But yeah, always a lot of fun. Total Justice, definitely a interesting line. Fun, not the best. I think if we had, maybe if we didn't have these wide stances, it would be a little bit better as far as standing up. Although Batman and Aquaman both stood up well, so maybe it's just something about the Green Lantern, or I just need to find that sweet spot. I do have a tablecloth on this table, and that sometimes does present an issue. But if they're slightly unbalanced, that does make it difficult. So, what are you gonna do? Is what it is, as the kids say, right? But anyway, thank you guys for checking out the TB Toycast YouTube channel. That's the Green Lantern, Kyle Rayner from the DC Total Justice line, and we will see you in the toy aisle.
Yeah. One more time. It ain't over till I say it's over. So lock the cage up, cause this is a takeover. The wait's over. If this the final time we meet, then you'll be on your back on my feet. Then I'll tip the cage over as a hangover. I'm super fly so I can splash off the top. And I can shut down the shot.